Yeah, I don't know. There's definitely commonalities though, but I think once I do hundreds, thousands, the commonalities will be apparent, and I think that'll say something about our experience, our existence. I was really curious about what you said, like God knows that He created a large, diverse set of, like, I've always had the thought of, like, what if I was born in a remote island that never had the Bible? Could I still
Yeah,
find God?
of course you
You know?
can. Yeah,
So
I
okay,
mean,
so I've never heard anybody say that before. I've never heard anybody say that before.
that's
You
so
know?
interesting because I mean, and I know we're off, but actually, even some of the old uh, this was a really common issue for patristics, the early church, right? Because they were so surrounded by Hellenistic culture and Plato and Aristotle and these people that these philosophers that they were like, well, certainly Plato, who has heavily influenced Christianity, can't just have gone to perdition, right? Like that's just not, and so actually early patristics really wrestled with that same thought and really just came to the conclusion that Christ is present even if people never knew Christ by name, that they still understood the concept of Christ somehow deep inside. So
I really wanted to ask you questions around that, and then I was getting lost. I was like, wait, that's not the point of the show, but that's so interesting. Like, so yeah, no, that's cool. I have to tend to say that my heart agrees with that. Like talking to the shaman, I believe that that shaman has contacted God. Absolutely. And she's just trying to help people, find Christ, as well.
right.
Um, it's all the same thing. I wonder if we're all just calling it different things, you
I
know?
think on some level, I mean, I could theologize a bit. And I mean, I am unapologetically Christian, right? Like that is I don't cross my fingers when I say the creeds. Uh I would I would say, and I'm sure like a Muslim or a Buddhist would like totally balk at this, but like I would say that like, you know, any Christ-like activity is still Christ, but I also like as a Christian, my perspective of Christ is still what I think of as Christ, right? Like so um you know, so if you see Christ-like work happening with shamanism or through Buddhism, I would say that's still Christ at work, even if it's unnamed Christ. But maybe that, and then that may be my own bias there. But so I don't know. But and I think that's kind of where like a lot of the early church fathers and mothers kind of landed as well.
Yeah, I shouldn't provide any sort of opinion of mine because I'm
Yeah.
I've I'm not studying it like you, but that it seems like it makes sense, right? Like, oh, that's all there is. All there is God. So of course it's
Hmm.
God. We're all like that's the only thing that exists
Well, yeah,
is God
exactly.
stuff.
If every human being is created in God's image, then every human being has to express God. Or, I mean,
Has to.
yeah, you can't not express the God. I mean, people can express a lot of things that are not godly, but, um, on some level, our humanity is inextricably tied to our divinity. I mean, and as a Christian, I'd say that is kind of doubled back around with the incarnation that our humanity is bound to the divine through Christ. So again, even if somebody isn't expressing Christ in word, they are still expressing Christ in deed. They are expressing God through their creation. They are, I mean, we cannot escape our divinity.
Cool.
So, anyway,
Can't escape
yeah,
it.
I'll just keep going on and on if you let me. So,
So I mean, so what is it calling even then? Like if you can't escape, well, it's possible to not do God's will, right? I mean, we
oh
have free
yeah,
will. We can either
we
choose
do
to
have free
do God's
will.
will or our own. Okay. So that's the point of listening to your calling, right? Really, what you're listening to is God's will versus your own will, right?
Yeah. I mean, you know, the we can we very much can do not God's will. I mean, we see humans do abhorrent things, right? Like it just all the time, right? It's just part of like we are also broken and we are not perfect and we have that separation from God and there are forces in the world that are in opposition to God and like and we do have certain weaknesses and we will fail. And I think that's the real struggle of it all. Um, but yeah, I mean, yeah, we can choose to not do God's will and we can do some terrible things and but it's a good thing there's redemption.
Do you think there's redemption for everyone, even a kid born on a remote, island? Like,
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that to me that feels a lot easier, the kid born on the remote island, right? Like I feel like that's I mean, when you're talking about spiritual redemption and you're talking about eternal salvation and things like that, I mean, I I am far less worried about the kid born on the remote island that has no access to faith traditions outside of that island because I mean grace abounds. Like there's God knows our hearts better than we do, and God is not going to forsake people who, again, Christ is still present, right? Like in those Christ-like deeds, right? So I can't. We believe in a good God, and there's no sense of I cannot get behind an idea that the simple not knowing of God by name is not knowing of God, and that or not being redeemed. That to me feels silly.
can I ask you a question about hell?
Sure.
So I've always thought that hell was a place, it's eternal, right? It's where God sends people to be punished forever, and then once you're in, you can't get out type of thing. And then I recently heard this definition, different beliefs, and it was like, no, hell is basically just a phase process, part of death that everyone kind of goes through, but more some people more than others, and they're working through like some traditions call it karma, or just simply like what's in your heart, like the bad stuff in your heart, right? Could be another, you work through it until
Hmm.
you find God and then you're out of hell. And so I have all kinds of questions now because I was like, oh, okay.
Well, C.S. Lewis certainly thought that. That is the premise of The Great Divorce, which is a fantastic book. Very 1940s uh, understanding of the world, but it's kind of funny, but kind of interesting. I don't know. I mean, I really that is one of those things I can wholeheartedly say I don't know. I I think I would believe that there is some sort of hell. Um, and uh, whether it's permanent or temporary or empty, I don't know. I mean, I don't go around my life thinking that much about it, I guess. Um, but I also wonder, you know, I how can we as people, I mean, none of us are perfect. We all come with baggage. We all come with trauma. We all come with things that, whatever. But we also all come with our things that we just ought not to do. Um, how could what is it like to be in the eternal, unending presence of something that is all loving and all good? And what is it like to be in that presence when you are carrying a lot of not good with you? And I think that's the question I would wonder. I mean, and I have no idea what the nature of hell is. I mean, just no idea, right? Like I've never been there, never been to heaven either, never. Um, but man, I mean, it would be awfully hard if you're harboring a lot of hate to be in an eternal presence of love. You know, I think it'd be hard even if you're pretty loving, you know. I mean, even if you're Gandhi or somebody, who of course had his own faults, but um, even the saintliest of people, it's probably hard. But yeah, I don't know.
So do you think, I mean, you said it would be hard to be there. Do you think all the bad stuff just like leaves our conscious when we die? You know what I mean? Or do you think it sticks with us? Kind of how they talk about it, it burns off in hell, like, or burns off in the process of
In a
death.
Right. I mean, this is very much the idea of purgatory, right? Like the burning off of.
Purgatory, that's, yeah. So is that, um,
I mean, I don't know, it's in Christian tradition. It's um there is something appealing to that idea of burning it off. I don't know. I mean, we've got, because we all come with some brokenness, right? And then like, I mean, somebody was just telling me this yesterday about, and I have no idea who this person was, but the person they were talking about, but they started telling me about somebody who was baptized and saved, and this person was so glad because of the background that they had. And then it kind of like spiraled down into, well, because their father had committed suicide. And I was like, and was like this really horrible person and was like a drug addict and all that, right? And I was, and so your first thought is, wow, what a horrible father to have. But then they kind of just kept going on and saying, well, what happened was there was another sibling who had committed suicide previously, and that's when the dad started using and drinking and went down his spiral, you know. Um, I feel like God sees all that. I don't know how it shakes out in the afterlife, but I feel like God sees that, right? I mean, it was just kind of a
well,
heartbreaking
time,
story, but yeah.
didn't it already happen to God too? Like, isn't time something that only we experience?
Yes.
So
Another C.S. Lewis
everything has
concept.
already happened.
Yes, another C.S. Lewis concept, actually. Um, yeah, he actually talks about this in Mere Christianity. Yeah, so the idea is that we experience time because we experience time like a line, but God experiences time as the paper on which the line is drawn. Which in my mind then tells me that like, all the pre-Christian people, right? Like the Old Testament folks as well as the folks who just had no contact uh with God and in some other point of time, that salvation at the point of time of Jesus still affects the universality of humanity, including before and after. Um, eh,
Yeah, because time doesn't matter. So just the
right.
fact that that happened
It
covers
it
everybody in both directions for infinity.
exactly. Yes, it happened at a point in time,
Huh.
and because God is the paper on which the line is drawn, it affects the whole line, even though it happened at a point in time. Because we don't live in the same time as Jesus, it still affects us. I mean, maybe getting into kind of some weird physics there, but um,
We can talk about
yeah, but then like
it.
yeah, so then but then you get into eternity, and that's also a really weird concept because then I wonder, and I don't again, I don't know. I don't know. But I wonder if when we enter eternity, if we also enter that lack of time, like if we leave time itself. Does that make sense? Like we ourselves
Yeah, yeah,
experience eternity in the way that God does?
that's what people in these NDE near death experience interviews, that's what they
Hmm.
say.
That makes sense. I mean, it's more of a wonderment on my part just thinking through that whole concept, but if eternity is not time, then I mean, if at least God experiences eternity outside of time, then if we experience eternity, we probably also would.
They asked my mom a tough question because this concept of reincarnation has been coming up a lot for me. And I was like, is there anywhere, and this is a question for you, is there
Hmm.
anywhere in the Bible that says reincarnation is not possible?
No. The Bible just simply does not address it. Um, I I don't think it's outside of the realm of Christian possibility.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, the Bible just simply does not address it. Yeah.
Doesn't have to, right? It's a book for us in this life.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Um, that would be interesting to think about how that works in parallel with the concept of eternity. Um, I
Well,
mean,
talk about physics, isn't so if God is the piece of paper and we draw the line, in terms of timelessness and maybe and maybe we're living all these lives at once, maybe we're filling in the paper completely, but
that
just we experience one line at a time.
could be. I mean, bearing in mind too, well, I mean, if you believe, which I mean, scientifically, this is just scientific fact, right? I mean, humanity as we know it is what about a half a million years old, right? Um, I mean, we can get into all of like the Genesis timeline and all that, but from a scientific perspective, there are, I think, more people alive today than in any other time. Now we're probably at peak humanity, right? Like we've kind of hit peak, and we're starting to because fertility rates are starting to slow, but at this moment in time, and there have been a couple moments in time, there are probably more people alive today or in that period than all of like human history before, or at least good chunks of it, right? Um, like it was probably fair to say that right around like at the year 2000, there were probably more people alive in 2000 than like say the last 10,000 years combined. It's just a fact, right? Like humanity just ballooned in the 20th century. Um, so I don't know how that would I mean it would raise a lot of questions for me about oh, I mean, I'm not saying it's not possible. I wonder, I guess I would wonder how that would all work in the metaphysical world. Um, would our do our souls split into more people? I mean, there's a lot of questions. I think actually, to be honest, this would be a great conversation for a Buddhist or a Hindu who is like well versed in their theology, because they've probably thought about this way more than I have. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's simple for me to say there's nothing really in our Christian faith that says it can't happen. I don't know the mechanics of it. I would have no idea. And there's got to be somebody much more thoughtful in those traditions that that really focus on um that would really have a better answer for that.
Well, the other two people I interviewed had ideas for follow-ups. Let me ask you, if I set that up, would that be interesting to you? If I
Sure.
set up like a like a four-way call with a Hindu
Oh my
leader
gosh, wouldn't that be interesting? Yes, that would be so interesting.
and we just talk about what? Just reincarnation? Just talk about that?
Oh wow, wouldn't that be interesting? Reincarnation, karma. There's a lot of interesting actually it would be a super interesting concept because it's probably common among all of us is some concept of redemption. Because I mean, in sort of the Hindu and Buddhist traditions, right? Like redemption really works through that reincarnation and that trying to fix your karma kind of thing. Whereas in Christianity, we're all kind of struggling with it, right? Like we all kind of are trying to figure out redemption in some ways, you know, like you know, and so like Christianity sort of sees redemption as this act of God that happens through the work of Christ and sort of our relationship with Christ, and like Judaism sort of understands like suffering and redemption in a certain aspect, and that would be super interesting. That would be super interesting.
An idea. We'll see if that
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, mostly because I just want to know what other people have, think about it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm extremely curious. Yeah, yeah, I'm extremely curious. Well, I should probably get to work.
That's all right. I got a funeral to do.
Oh man. All right.
All right. Well,
Well, thank you so much.
sure.
Hey, quick question. I
Yeah,
don't know if I will, but is it okay if I use any of the this little chat here? If
sure.
I
I think
upload
it's been
that?
kind of fun, actually. So yeah, that I think would be kind of
Doesn't
fun.
doesn't fit the theme, but maybe I'll find ways to get that out there too.
Yeah,
Your answer, your this conversation here has brought me a lot of peace. Thank you.
yeah. Thank you.
Alrighty. Well, if you have any questions, reach out